Hi, my name is MJ Garcia, and this is my presentation on being knowledgeable in social and legal ethical differences. And the country that we're going to have most of our concentration on is Singapore. Now, here's some general information on when you would like to conduct business in Singapore. So, four things that I came up with that are just general information is the country has a very high reputation because of its connections globally. Singapore mostly deals with a lot of companies that deal with technology and medicine. Transparency and being respectful are very, very big two components that will get you very far when working with Singapore business partners, trying to make business partners or to conduct business in Singapore. So I definitely recommend that. In the next slides, we're going to talk about how to be respectful, things that they are going to be looking for when wanting to gain trust with you. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So now, like we talked about another one, etiquette in Singapore. So etiquette in Singapore, it is a little bit intimidating, but it's definitely worth it, and it's such a great experience when meeting different people. And not only is this really good for in Singapore, but this is also a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about you can use in Japan, China, in places like that. So first thing, if you're in a group setting and you have not met these owners before and you are there with your team, you're going to introduce your team before you will introduce yourself. So if you're in a group setting and you're like, well, my name is so-and-so, no. You will introduce your team, and this is basically showing that you have respect for the people that work for you or with you. So negotiation process. Now, the negotiation process is a lot different than here in the United States, as it's a lot slower. So you really want to create, with Singapore partners, you want to create personal friendships with these key members in the company that you would like to be working with. Now, some things that are expected of you is being on time. So there are also, you will show up and the other company that you're, like the Singapore company, they might come a little bit like not as on time, just to seem as if they're not very, they don't want to seem eager, you know? So if you want to show up at least like 2 minutes late, it is being on time, but you're also making them not think that you're being very eager with wanting to get this done, if that makes sense. Listening, no interrupting people. Having good listening, just counting maybe in your head 10 or 7 seconds, because people do pause when they are speaking, and it would be very inappropriate if you were to interrupt someone when they were trying to say something. And now, speaking in a soft tone. Now, this is not as popular here as when we do not want you to yell in a conference meeting, but if you are connecting with, you want to come off in a soft tone. You usually, typically, we learn to be prideful in how we talk and everything, as that's a sign of confidence. But in Singapore, you would want to have more of a soft tone, letting yourself seem more relaxed. Now, how to start a conversation. So let's say you are wanting to create a good relationship between you and the partners. Well, to help you kind of, what if you're like, well, what do I say? You know, it's very intimidating when wanting to start on a conversation. You want to make a good impression. Well, you can show interest in the culture of Singapore. So you can go over there and be like, I recently went to this restaurant, or I need places to eat. Do you know of any good places to eat? Places, things like that. Then you can talk about how beautiful the buildings are in Singapore. You can discuss food. What do you like? What would you like to try? You can also ask them where have they been to travel. Have they been to the United States? And also some of their interests. And then you can also ask them about what their goals are for their company, why they started the company, the key things that they would like to implicate into their business that would bring success. So why would you want to do business in Singapore? So here are some stats that I actually found off of the government website, and these, as you can see, are very good numbers. you would want to make sure before you want to conduct business over there that you see what you want to talk about with the partners, and how you don't want to still make it a sense about money, but you also want to bring up certain things to see how much you're going to take. And yeah, so you just want to make sure that before going in, you look at your numbers. Now, here's some things to avoid in Singapore. There are many, many, many things you need to avoid doing in Singapore that may seem not as important or as rebellious or something that you can't do here in the United States. So the first thing is no spitting or smoking in public or even chewing bubble gum. That is very bad. Singapore is one of the top countries in the world for how clean they are, and you can get very much fine charged and get sent to prison and then being a foreigner, you could be there long, they can hold you there. So please do not spit, do not smoke in public, or chew gum. Next, do not talk about politics. Politics, religion, I think everybody knows this. Usually you don't talk about with people those sort of things because everyone has their own beliefs, and you want to be respectful of the people that you are talking to. And if they don't agree with you, that could really, with bringing up politics, religion, crime, punishment, that could definitely be tension that you could create for the relationship that you don't want to break with those Singapore company workers. Next, publicly trying to correct or have a disagreement with a superior. So over in Singapore and a lot of Asian countries, your superior is someone that you do not disrespect. You do not want to make them feel like they are not seen, like their power is not able to, in a way, make you feel some type of way. So just being, if your boss is saying something and you really don't agree with it, maybe you could in private talk to them, but out in public is very disrespectful. Next one is kind of obvious. Touching someone's head or their face, that's not, you do not want to do that over there. Don't touch objects with your feet, as this is seen as unclean. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird when I say that, but if you, let's say with your shoe, and you need to pick up something underneath the table and you just want to pick it up, like with your shoe or whatever, that is seen as unclean, and it's definitely not an impression that you want to make with your superiors or whatever. Next, last one is standing with your hand on your hips. Now, this is seen as a sign of aggression, so do not put your hands on your hips, even if you're just being polite and just trying to look at something that someone has written for you or any of that sort of thing. Don't put your hands on your hips. Now, business cards. In America, business cards are not as important. People still do obviously have business cards, but with all the technology stuff that we have nowadays, business cards are not really that necessary. But in Singapore, business cards are very, very much a necessity. So you would like to have some on deck when conducting business, as you see in this picture, you see that you hold both sides of the card with both hands. This is seen as a sign of respect. You want to include Chinese translation on the back of your card because in Singapore you do speak Chinese as well as English and other languages. Now, some things that we could do to help ensure that we understand ethical and social differences. So what we could do is hire a teacher to come in to talk to the company and just basically go over certain things, like certain words like hello, thank you, and doing your own research. Even though we're going to be talking about these certain things, just doing your own research into seeing what you could do over there is definitely very important, especially if there's certain aspects that we don't talk about in this slide, or even when we hire a teacher. Now, don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, people may be afraid that, oh, that's a really dumb question. No question is a dumb question. Now, conclusions and recommendations. Now, what I said in the last slide with these, the 3 that I chose, it can be very unpopular among employees, but we just need to make sure we ensure and make it a priority. And we also want, all this is just to help you work with different companies globally and to help grow your mind. And next is you want to impress these countries because you are representing the United States. Thank you.